Hi guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we're doing our second episode of What the Fuck is Going On Out There. Because
what the fuck is going on out there? What
really
is happening? What is
happening? I started us off last time,
okay,
go ahead.
I'm going to start this time?
Yeah.
Okay. I have some shit to talk about. Mm-hmm.
Do it.
Okay, so on March 8th, because I know we haven't released one of these episodes since then, it was International Women's Day. Bam! Oh, yeah, baby! And so I thought, just because my husband and I have been talking a lot about this kind of stuff since then, it just needs to be like a recurring topic in our house. So we've been talking about it so much. So I was like, we're going to talk about it here too, obviously.
Yeah.
For sure. So something that always stands out in my mind when we talk about International Women's Day is a lot of people talk about like the inequalities and like shedding light on things that happen to women that maybe don't happen to men as often. And obviously one of the biggest battles that women face is sexual assault. So, we're just going to start off real heavy. I promise we're going to start heavy and it's going to get lighter. Okay. So I just pulled up a little bit of statistics for anybody who's a boy or a male or I don't know who identifies with that gender
Or wants to be.
Yeah. And so anybody who like might be of the opposite gender who might not know these things or might not have experienced these things, because it is something I feel like that.
And that's not to say that men
I don't want to discount. No, I actually have some stats that talk about that as well. But it just talks about, it's just like such a predominantly female issue.
Oh.
So in 2019, Statistics Canada did a study on the issue of sexual assault in Canada. So I'm just going to read some statistics because I thought it's good to bring light to that. And also I find that as a woman, when you're talking about these kind of issues with men in particular, you almost need to like provide data.
Oh yeah.
Right? I always feel like I have to bring data to the table.
Yeah.
And if you are a younger listener who is like having this debate with people your age who are of the opposite gender, and you're finding that like you're having a hard time making your arguments stick because you don't have that data, here's some data for you, and it's all from refutable sources. So from Statistics Canada in 2019, they found that approximately out of our entire population, 4.7 million women, or 30% of all women aged 15 and older, have been sexually assaulted outside of an intimate relationship at least once since the age of 15. So that's 30% over the age of 15
and these
at
are
least
just
one time.
These are women. These are statistics from people that have reported it.
Have come forward. Yes,
wow.
Absolutely. Okay, so we'll get there too. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit as well. No, that's okay. So according to self-reported data, there were 22 incidents of sexual assault for every 1,000 people in Canada aged 15 and older. Now, that's only 2.2%, which sounds like a small amount, but that is self-reported. That is not the amount that actually happens. So there's a little bit of statistics for you. I'm going to rapid fire some statistics at you because, again, these are very good. And this is from sexualassault.ca, which was another study that was conducted by Statistics Canada. It's just on a different website. Okay, so out of every 100 incidents of sexual assault, only 6 are reported to the police. So that means that 6% of assaults are only reported to the police. That means 94% go unreported. 1 to 2% of date rape sexual assaults, and I use date rape in quotations because they do. Only 1 to 2% of date rape sexual assaults are reported to the police, which is a very small number. 1 in 4 North American women will be sexually assaulted during their lifetime. That's a very realistic number, I feel like. It's probably more than that. It's definitely more than that. But that is what their projections show. 11% of women have long-lasting physical injuries resulting from sexual assault. Only 2 to 4% of all sexual assaults, that does not include just the ones that are reported. Okay, obviously. That's going to make more sense in a second. Only 2 to 4% of all sexual assaults that are reported are false reports. So I know that that's something that I have a lot of men in general. And like I work with teenagers and I work in a small town. So which means I work with a lot of biased male students who are cisgendered because we are in a small town. And a lot of what I hear from these
predominantly white.
Yeah, predominantly white. A lot of what I hear from my male cisgendered students are like, and I guess it's valid because a lot of boys express concern over being falsely reported, but when the statistics show that only 2 to 4% of accusations are false, then I don't really know if there's anything to worry about.
My concern is, what situation are you putting yourself? I'm not trying to say what what situation was she, what
Yeah.
was she wearing? You know, that's not
Right.
what I'm saying. But if you're concerned about being falsely reported on,
Right.
like, you just don't go every day being like, I don't know. I'm also a female, so
Right.
a woman. I don't know what a man's brain thinks every day, but I wouldn't imagine that a man would walk around being like, oh, I hope they don't sexually report me. Oh, I hope they don't sexually report me.
Right.
I feel like you've got to be in a
very certain kind of situation. So it's funny that you should say that, that like as a man, like you wouldn't know that because you're not a man, but you would assume that they don't walk around every day in every encounter and go like, oh, I hope I don't get reported for sexual assault. And that's so funny that you mentioned that, because I don't know about your experience, but as a woman, I walk around most days thinking, I hope I don't get sexually assaulted. Right?
Depends on the situation.
Right, it really depends on the
for
situation
sure,
and where
I definitely
am. Of
have
course.
those intrusive thoughts. And
right.
Funny, like I had one, not sexually assaulted, but just like being assaulted in general as a woman. Like there was me and a taxi driver, and had nothing to do with race, had nothing to do with anything. Just me being in the vehicle alone with a male. Right. I was like,
I'm gonna get murdered.
For sure, gonna die.
Right. And I just feel like it's so inherent as a part of our societal structure for fear to be built into women's everyday lives, and it's just not accounted for, and it's not recognized, and it's not valid. And I just don't know if it's same on the other side. Yeah. I don't know if cisgendered men feel the same way. Yeah. If where they walk around every day. I've asked my husband, and he's like, no. Like, when you leave the house, do you like, if you went to the big city in our area without me, would you feel scared that you were going to get attacked? Because I do. Yeah. I feel scared walking around our big city center by myself. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't really do it. Yeah. It seems stupid. Moving on with our statistics. 60% of sexual abuse or assault victims are under the age of 17. That's horrifying, right? I don't like that. I don't think anybody does. I don't think I'm in the minority there. No, I
wouldn't think so.
Over 80% of sex crime victims are women, and I think that's an important statistic to acknowledge and remember. Like, that's a hard statistic that was found by statisticians in our country after taking studies. 80% of all sexual assaults are women. And I only say that again because, like you were saying earlier, like, we don't want to discount male voices, but we do need to recognize that this is a predominantly female issue. Like, if it happens to you and you're male, it's just as bad. That's not what we're saying.
And you're still valid.
It's just as bad, and you're still valid, but it's not happening to men en masse like it is to women. Yeah. Right? I think that that's the point to drive home, is it's not an everyday fear for men. Or maybe I'm just a big baby and I'm just constantly afraid of being raped. Well, it'd be nice to have a male it would be nice to have a male opinion. What's another one on here? 83% of disabled women experience sexual assault in their lifetime. That's horrible. Horrifying. 57% of Aboriginal women have experienced sexual abuse. And I think that's important to highlight as well, because we are both white women. And it's important to highlight issues in communities that we are not a part of. For sure. Totally. So, like, there's not a statistic here saying how often it happens for just white women, but the fact that 57, over half, if you had a group of 10 Aboriginal women in this room, 6 of them would have experienced sexual assault. That's horrifying. Mm-hmm. That's horrifying. Like I said, we're starting out super heavy today, so I only got a few more, and then we'll talk about something maybe a little bit less horrifying. But I do think it's important to talk about this kind of stuff, especially if we have younger viewers, especially if we have younger ladies on TikTok who are seeing this, who have either experienced sexual assault and feel very alone, or who haven't experienced sexual assault and are maybe living their life in a very naive,
But lens. Chances are, if you haven't experienced sexual assault, you know someone who has.
Oh, I was going to say chances that too. Like, even with our friend group, if you and I pooled every single, my husband and I were talking about this on the way down to, we just went on a holiday, and on the way down to where we were staying, we were talking about sexual assault, and how I said to him, like, off the cuff, flippantly, I was like, you know a handful of women who have been sexually assaulted. Mm-hmm. And he was like, no, I don't. And I was like, oh, yeah, you do. For sure. You know them. Like, not not like intimately, not like best friends, but like, you know, of a very healthy handful of women who have been sexually assaulted. And I like proceeded to give him a few examples. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, but it's not something that we talk about as women in male circles.
I think it's important to also specify, it's not just you're out for a run one night and you're, big R word by a complete random stranger. Right. That's not always what this is.
No.
There's familial things that happen.
That was one of the statistics, was that 80% of sexual assaults of minors happen within the home from somebody that they are close to.
It's also anything that's not consent, anything you have not consented for, even if it's your friend and you're not consenting to a touch,
not cool. Literally,
that's still sexual assault.
Yeah, it is. Like, honest to God, the definition, if you go look up right now, the definition for sexual assault, it is such a, on one hand, it's so broad, but on the other hand, it's so specific. Mm-hmm. Right? But like, there is a pretty decent list of things that fall underneath sexual assault that I didn't think so. I thought it was always just like the big R. Mm-hmm. That was it. Mm-hmm. And because I hadn't experienced that in my life, I was like, oh, well, I'm not part of that statistic. Lucky me. Only to find out as like a full-grown adult that I did get to be part of that statistic. Wow, what a fun club to be a part of. Because while I had never been like subject to the big R, I had some other stuff happen to me that I was like, oh, that's not, as a adult now, I was like, that's not consented. Yeah. That wasn't cool. Mm-hmm. That wasn't,
and even like, even if it's not, I said no. Even you cannot, if it's not a yes, if it's not a solid yes, it's a no. Yes.
My husband and I talked for 2 hours on the way to our
coercion.
Yes. Yeah. We talked for 2 hours on the way to our holiday spot about the definition.
What a vacation talk.
What a vacation talk. We talk about big things on vacation. Yeah. About the definition of enthusiastic consent, because that's the best describer that I've been able to find for what consent is. Mm-hmm. Like, it has to be, and like, I'm sorry for being a little vulgar. It's not going to be that vulgar. But what I have researched and what I have found has pretty much found that unless it's like, take your clothes off right now, that's not enthusiastic consent. And if both parties don't feel like that, mm-hmm. then you should revisit if you should be doing this. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So there's like that
you're feeling like you're being pressured into it, or like that is not consenting.
If you feel like you have to do something, yeah.
I'm also part of that percentage.
Absolutely.
And for a long time, I convinced myself that I wasn't, because I must have been asking for it. I must have been...
What did I do to deserve
not
that?
Even what did I do. It must have been like, I put myself in that situation. I deserved what happened, because even though I said, either I said no, or either I said, whatever it was, trying to dismiss, get away from the situation, and it's still happening, it still wasn't consent.
Right.
It still wasn't
not consented. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And it's really not that hard of a concept. If anybody, I know that like we can say that, but if you go and watch on YouTube, and if I can find the link, I will put it on one of our socials somewhere. But there's a tea video, and it's like literally a British man explaining consent in the terms of like dumping hot tea down somebody's throat while they're unconscious. And I feel like I show that video to my students, because I had a student one time like say to me like, well, what is consent? Like a male student saying, what is consent? Consent is so hard. And I'm like, I have a video for this. Yeah. So we watched the tea video, and I was like, does it seem hard now?
Yeah.
Does it seem hard?
Yeah.
And they were like, no. And I'm like, so every time that you think that you're going to have a sexual encounter, I want you to think about the tea video.
Yeah.
And think about if you're pouring scalding hot tea down somebody's throat, or if you're offering them a cup of tea and they're saying, yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? It's different. I just have a few more stats here.
Go ahead.
Okay, so 1 out of every 17 Canadian women will be big R, essayed at some point in their life. A woman is sexually assaulted by force every 17 minutes in Canada. So like literally, even we're at 20 minutes right now. It's happened. In another 20 minutes, it'll happen again. Girls from the ages of 15 to 24 are the most likely to be victims. Approximately 1/2 of all sexual assaults occur on dates. And this is the one that includes our boys. So Statistics Canada has found that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 8 boys have been sexually abused by the time that they are 18. So still twice as much for girls, but 1 in 8 is still too many.
For sure.
1 in 8 for boys is still too many. 1 in 4 for girls is too many, right? And it's absolutely horrifying. So in honor of International Women's Day, even though we're a little bit late, we're 20 days late, I just wanted to bring to light some of those issues. And I find that when I'm having an actual dialogue with somebody who wants to actually talk about the problem, statistics are always the first way to start. And so I just wanted to provide some statistics to our listeners who might not have those at their disposal, or might not be able to even know where to start looking for those kind of things. Okay, before we move on, one last thing about International Women's Day was, we all know that I'm a big reader, so I have compiled a relatively short list. I think there's only like 10 books on here, and I'm going to rip through them pretty quick, of books that in my mind highlight female characters where the main plot line does not center around the love story. Okay? I'm a big romance reader. I love that romance. Oh, I do. But it's also nice to read books where there's female characters who are doing something other than just trying to fall in love. So we're going to rip through them quick. And then I think Brooklyn's got something else to talk about, maybe. Unless
that's all you had?
That's all I have.
Oh my
God.
God.
That was 20 minutes. Well, I mean, probably less than that because of...
I've got some silly
all
ones.
the other stuff. I've got other stuff too, though. Like, I've got other topics as well. Okay. So, okay. So, A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray is a trilogy, and it's absolutely phenomenal. The Duff by Cody Keplinger. Now, if you've seen the movie, you're going to be like, oh, Tate, no, that's definitely a romance. No, read the book, okay? It's different. Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead, wonderful. Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, absolutely fantastic. Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver, get ready to cry, because you definitely will. Heartless by Marissa Meyer. The Host by Stephanie Meyer. And listen, if any single one of you troglodytes come at me and you're like, oh my God, Bella Swan from Stephanie Meyer in the Twilight series is definitely not a strong female lead. We know. That's why it's not on the list. Okay? The Host is on the list. Go give that one a read and come back and tell me that I'm wrong. I'm not. Song of the Sparrow by Lisa Ann Sandel. It's absolutely wonderful. The Uglies series by Scott Westerfeld. Partials by Dan Wells. There's a little bit of sci-fi in there for you. Very nice. And Blood Red Road by Moira Young. Now, these are all books that highlight female characters who are doing something in their story other than just falling in love and being like, about a man. It's fantastic. So good. They're all such good books. Oh my God. I think I'm probably going to make book recs a part of our what the fuck is going on out there. I read way too much to keep it to myself. So, that is one of my topics. You do one. You do one now, because my brain hurts from talking about sad things. Okay,
well, I have one that you may have seen on TikTok. It's a coffee trend that has been going around.
Hit me with it.
Okay, it is espresso and orange juice.
Dude, yes, I've seen it. I've seen it so much, and it looks so nasty.
Yeah. So
have you tried it?
I have not tried it. Ooh. People are saying, okay, I will read some of the comments of the video that I've seen. I feel like espresso with sugar reminds me of dark chocolate, and chocolate orange is a classic combo. So that's what I'm thinking. A Tootsie Roll shot is Kahlua and orange juice, and it's a short jump from there to the old OJ latte. Tootsie has described its candy as a perfectly balanced cocoa taste lined with a subtle fruit-flavored undertow.
I don't like Tootsie Rolls, though, so I probably...
But I like Tootsie Rolls.
I do like the Christmas oranges. Oh. So maybe I would like this concoction.
In Europe, they sell this in grocery stores, combined in a carton. In a carton, you can buy it.
I don't know about that.
Lots of people are saying a variation with sparkling espresso. So, like, you use sparkling water that's, like, citrus flavored. Instead, it's not so orange juicy. Is really good, and they like that. So, this person says they pull the shot hot, then put some ice in it, pour it into some OJ with more fresh ice. An Orange Joe, someone comments. The number of us who will get this is small, but we're all broken.
get it.
Do you get it?
No, I don't get it.
Me either. Okay, well,
That's
espresso and lemonade, they're saying. Like, a barista here, espresso and citrus is a classic combo, whether it's an orange spice latte or a sprota with lemon or lime, or pineapple juice.
Okay.
So I personally have not tried it.
I haven't tried it,
but
either.
I would. I
would try a sip. That's the thing, is I'm like not a commit kind of person. If you had one, I would have a sip, but I don't think I would commit to just having it. But like I don't know, espresso like richens a lot of things.
Enriches?
Like my favorite brownie recipe calls for espresso powder because it just like makes the chocolate taste better. You don't taste the coffee at all.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot with chocolate recipes.
So like I don't know, maybe it just makes the orange juice taste better. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's for me, but
I want to try it. Let us know in the comments if you regularly drink OJ and espresso.
Who started that trend too? Was it Bun Daddy?
I don't know.
I think it was. It was the first. She was the first one that I saw.
Maybe that's the video that I saw. I'm not really sure.
She's fantastic. First of all, I am high key in love with her. I just love her so much. It's still a bit too much for me. But I think she was the one that started that trend. But if I'm wrong, then what's new? Yes. Okay. So this happened literally on the date of our recording. This happened last night, and I was so happy.
I know what you're gonna talk about.
What am I going to talk about?
Will Smith and Chris Rock?
Yeah, the Will Smith, Chris Rock thing at the Oscars. I woke up this morning and Twitter was like aflame. And I was like, oh my God, what is going on? But I did a little bit of research and I looked into it and I saw the video. Did you see the video?
It looks 150% fake.
Right. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't think it looked fake, but
the still that I saw, it was like afterwards. It was when Will Smith was walking away. He was smiling, and Chris Rock was smiling.
Right.
So it just seems like
I don't know. He walked up there with so much intent. I don't know. The discourse that I saw today was that Chris Rock made a nasty comment about Jada Pinkett Smith's hair, and
because she's suffering with alopecia.
Right.
Yes.
And so
she shaved it.
Right. And so he made a comment about that. And Will, I saw the video. He made the comment. Will was laughing. And then he walked up there and just fucking rocked his shit. And I was like, what? So I like kind of looked at it a little bit on TikTok a little bit more. And I was like, I still couldn't. I don't know. I just thought I'd bring it up because it was very relevant right now. But
yeah,
if it was, so here's the deal. Here's where I'm at. If it was unscripted, good for you.
Yeah.
Will Smith. If it was completely scripted, then that's like a whole other issue.
Yeah. But also, let's not comment on other people's bodies.
Like, yeah, just like, hair. That's also the other thing too.
Unless you're gonna be like, yes, queen.
Unless you're pumping somebody
amazing.
up.
Yeah.
But even then, okay, so even then, just so anybody is like just be careful, okay?
Yeah.
Think about your words before you say them.
Yeah.
Because even if you think you're saying something nice, you could still hurt somebody's feelings.
You don't always need to draw attention to things.
No.
Like, really.
Something can be
unsaid. Especially when someone's struggling with things like that. My cousin posted on the internet.
On the interwebs.
On Instagram about how she's suffering with alopecia.
Yeah.
And just seeing that, it's hard to see someone being made fun of.
Yeah.
Who's suffering with that.
Absolutely. And
you don't know what people are going through.
You don't know what people are going through. And also you just have to I don't know, critical thinking skills aren't hard, but they're also not inherently taught to us. So that's like your job to figure that out. Mm-hmm. To figure out your critical thinking skills and think to yourself, do I have a close enough relationship with this person that I can make this comment and they'll know where I'm coming from? And if the answer is no, then, and I know this is so counterintuitive to our society, but it is perfectly okay to just shut up. Mm-hmm. It is okay. Like, you don't have to say everything that's on your mind. I have that conversation with my teenagers. I have that conversation with my adults. I have that conversation with a lot of people all of the time. Mm-hmm. If you don't think and know 100% that what you're going to say is going to be well received, it doesn't cost you anything to just shut up.
Yeah. Don't say it.
Just don't say it. It's okay. And I know a lot of people feel stifled by that, but it's okay to just not talk about it. It's okay to just not say anything.
I am obsessed with Wordle. Do you do Wordle?
I did it today, but not every day. I don't do it every day.
Oh my God. I am on a streak. I'm on like a 30 or 40 day streak.
Of playing it every day?
Yeah.
Oh, girl.
Yeah.
Whoa. I'm not very good at it. That's probably why I
got to days in 2. Yeah.
Girl.
I know.
You must be using good first words.
I don't remember what my first word was today.
My God.
It started with an F.
There you go.
I don't remember what it was.
That's good.
But I wanted to talk about the other fucking options, like the spin-offs of Wordle. There's
What's your favorite?
Nerdle.
Okay,
I do not do Nerdle. I did it once.
They're huge words,
I did it
right?
once. No, Nerdle is a math equation, like a really fucking hard math equation. So no. Dordle. I've never done Dordle, which is 2 games at once. I've done the Quordle, which is 4 games at once. Me and Lori had to do that to get my mother-in-law had to do that together to get 2, and I can't do that by myself.
That sounds like a lot.
There's Octordle, which is 8 games at once.
What do you mean, like 8 games?
It's 8 separate games with 5 or 6 guesses. So you put in one, it goes to all of them, and in all of them you see.
And they're all different words.
They're all different words.
I don't like.
Yeah, it's really hard, really hard. There's Crosswordle, which I have no idea how that works, but apparently makes a crossword. There's Loodle, which is
that's
dirty,
the dirty
words.
Yes,
I do not know that many dirty words.
I haven't even.
I tried playing it once, and I was like, I have no idea what to put in. Like,
that's fantastic.
Like, how many
the teachers that I work with play Loodle?
Oh, do they? Dirty.
They're wild.
Hurdle. I love Hurdle. Hurdle. That's the music one.
Oh, fun!
So you listen to a 1-second music clip. I sent it to you.
I know you sent it to me, but I thought you were doing it for incentives, not for me to play. I didn't even click on it.
Wordle,
which
do play I like.
I love Wordle.
Did you do today?
Mm-hmm.
It was so easy.
One try, baby.
Me too.
Australia.
It's very obvious. There's Lordle of the Rings, which is obviously Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. There's Squirtle, Pokemon. Queerdle, which is important words for the LGBTQIA community, which, I mean, I've never played.
I'm about it.
Would be interested, but I have no idea. Anyways, there's one about cycling, hockey player names, MLB, college football, Star Wars, Taylor Swift, and bird names. Those are all of the spin-offs that I could find.
So if you too much time on your hands.
If you're really interested, there's really something for you.
There's something for everybody out there, man.
Yeah.
I do enjoy Wordle. I just never remember to play. I feel like if it was an app that reminded me every day, I'd play it all the time.
Just put the shortcut on your home screen. That's what I did. I have the shortcut on my home screen, so it's right there.
Well done.
Big brain energy.
Whoa. She's too smart for me. I've got 2 more things left to talk about, and one is heavy. Okay, good. I've got a heavy one and a light one. Let's just do the heavy, and then we'll just get the heavy. It's not even going to be that long. Listen, last time we talked on what the fuck's going on out there, we had a huge segment dedicated to what was going on in the Ukraine, because the last time we did a segment, it was just starting to begin. This is just a little bit of an update. This is just what I have seen over the last few days, not even the last few weeks. And none of this is like, I don't want to say that it's not cited. I got it from refutable sources. I just don't have the articles in front of me. These are literally just the headlines that I screenshotted and wrote down. Okay, so it looks to me, now I'm not a news reporter, but it looks to me like Vladimir Putin is starting to lose ground with his own shit. Like, people are starting to have a lot less faith in him since the last time that we talked about what was going on. There have been reports that Russian oligarchs have been putting out hits against him so that they can start to get their own stuff not sanctioned anymore, which we don't condone assassination, but that is something that is happening that I read an article about. I feel like I have to preface that by saying that this isn't just hearsay. I read an article about it from the news. His own soldiers are starting to rebel against him. There was a situation, I think last week, or within the last 10 days at least, where a Russian soldier ran over his commanding officer with a tank. Jeez. Because from what I can understand from the sources that I've read and the teachers who teach social studies that I talk to, is that like the Russian way that the news works is like very World War II Nazi Germany-esque, where the propaganda machine just like prevents anybody from knowing anything about what's going on outside of Russia. So like kind of very much like North Korea. So people are starting to gather intelligence from within Russia about how the rest of the world feels about what's going on, and they're starting to push back a little bit, like maybe having a little bit of a not a conscience, but just like a battle of like what they were raised knowing, and what they are learning to be true about what the global community feels about how this war is like shaping out. There also was a news anchor on the news a couple weeks ago who ran on screen with a sign during, like, she was a news anchor, she just wasn't doing that segment, and she ran on with a sign that says like something akin to Putin is lying to you and we are being fed lies. And then they like arrested her, took her to a holding center as far as I could tell. That's that. And then there are several head officials who are beginning to step down from their positions, who work very closely with Putin, so they're no longer wanting to be associated with him. And it's just, all of those things don't seem like very big deals, but when you put them all together, it's just showing that there's a lot of unrest in Russia, which is very good for the rest of us. The more unrest in Russia between the people and Putin that there is, the better chance that we have of ending this before it becomes worse than what it has. Right? So that's good. I know that a month ago I felt like rather hopeless about the situation. I was like, my God, things are hitting the roof. Like it's really bad. I mean, I'm kind of a catastrophist where I was like, there's no way this isn't going to end in nuclear war. But, it's seeming to get better. It's seeming to get better. Like there are still countless amounts of people who are dying unnecessarily, obviously in the Ukraine. And it's absolutely horrible. And if you have the money and the ability to donate, make sure that you are donating to good sources, because some of them are, right? To do your research. If you're on Twitter, make sure you're listening and amplifying Ukraine voices on Twitter. Do all of that good stuff. Help where you can. Listen to people who know what they're talking about. Make sure you are fact-checking your sources. But it doesn't look like it's as bad as it was a month ago. It looks like it's starting to get better, which is great.
But so our hearts go out with the people of Ukraine and everything that they've been through, this seeming, in our eyes, unnecessary torture.
Right. And just it's unimaginable to think about that happening here.
Did you see the video that Zelensky shared with he did a Zoom call or something like that with the Canadian... You didn't see it? Oh my God. It was where he was pleading with them to put in a no-fly zone. It was horrifying. He showed monuments or places, just pieces of Ukraine before, and then what they looked like afterwards. And then it'd be like this beautiful park or this beautiful whatever, this beautiful building, and then just destroyed or just being blown up or just all of this stuff. And just I was bawling, full bawling,
right?
It's horrifying.
The thing is that a lot of people don't pay attention to the Ukraine because it is such a small country, and because Russia has had its clutches on Ukraine for such a long time, people don't really pay attention to it, I don't feel like. But now that this is happening and it's in the public eye, so many people that I can see on TikTok and Twitter who are like, oh my gosh, unicorns. Ukraine is high key, absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. Their architecture is stunning, and their way of life is so unique and special, and it's a tremendous loss what's happening. Yeah.
And it's really sad because this has been going on for so long.
Oh my God.
Right? Since 2014 with Crimea.
Literally, but then what the fuck is going on? Yeah. If we know that this has been happening since 2014 after the Sochi Olympics.
How have we not
stepped in? Why didn't NATO make a better attempt at making sure that the Ukraine became a part of NATO?
I don't know.
Why did we not? It's the epitome of being a bystander. Yeah. Everybody in the world after the Sochi Olympics saw that Ukraine was getting bullied by Russia. And by the Russia. And what did we do to step in? Nothing. What did we do to make sure that it wasn't going to happen again? Yeah. Nothing.
It doesn't feel like nothing. That it got to this point, that it got here.
And the part that I just can't get past is civilians are dying. Yeah. Civilians.
There's absolutely no regard.
No. And at the beginning,
I seen a video on TikTok where they had a NICU had to be evacuated, and they were in the bomb shelter of the hospital with these intensive care babies. Right. There was a woman bagging babies, what?
Right. And I just think it's because we live a very privileged life because we live where we live.
Yeah.
And the thought of having like our way of life disrupted that much is just unimaginable.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, I know that when I look at that situation, it's like so hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that it's actually happening. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I have to set aside a lot of my privilege to be like, oh my God, okay.
It's easy to feel very separated from it.
Oh my gosh, it is. It's so easy to feel separated from it. But like, I just have to.
That's someone's life.
Right.
Like, those are people's lives that are being just destroyed and demolished. People are fleeing.
Like, literally. Like, en masse, millions of people just seeking refuge anywhere that they can to get away.
Horrifying. To
keep their families safe. And for what? For what? Like, what is the purpose? What is the point? If you go back and look at why Putin said at the beginning that he was doing this, it was because he was throwing a hissy fit because he didn't want Ukraine to join NATO.
Yeah.
And
because he was hoping that eventually he'd just be able to absorb everything, like he did with Crimea. Like just absorb until he's got the whole thing.
He's a fucking lunatic.
Yes.
He's a lunatic. So
this is, me and Chuck talked about this a little bit because I said, we were talking and I said, he's not going to do it.
But
he's not gonna.
Like, you call it somebody's bluff, right?
Let's call it, like, why aren't we calling his bluff? Put the no-fly zone in.
Right.
You know, protect those people. Why are we not protecting them?
Right.
And Chuck said, he's crazy.
He's an actual
crazy.
Lunatic. You readied his
You
nuclear
have
weapons.
absolutely no idea. But then, are we any better?
No.
Are we any better if we say, oh, well, you know, right, I guess we don't want to be bombed. Ha ha.
Right.
That's not any better.
It's just
like, of course we don't want to be bombed. That's exactly how Ukraine's feeling.
Right, of course. It's so difficult because if you're dealing with somebody who, and it rarely ever happens like this in war, if you're dealing with somebody who is on the same level as you mentally, things don't get this bad.
Yeah.
But, like, historically, like when you think about World War II, Hitler was not operating on the same level as the diplomats around the world. Mm-hmm. He was doing his thing, right? You think about Stalingrad. Joseph Stalin was not operating on the same kind of mental facilities that the rest of the global diplomats were. Mm-hmm. Vladimir Putin is not operating on the same level. That boy is freaking crazy. Mm-hmm. If you even think about North Korea with Kim Jong-un, he's not operating on the same playing field. He's running different software, baby. Mm-hmm. And it's got some bugs.
Yeah.
And it needs to get fixed. Okay? Like,
we need to uninstall button.
We need to uninstall some of that software. I don't know. Like, it's just not great. And it's just, again, I don't know. Like, I want to, like, maybe link that back to what we were talking about earlier with women. It just goes to show again that it's, like, terrifying living in a world as a woman where, like, you don't see yourself reflected in the leaders who are running our country. I don't see myself represented in the global leaders of today. Mm-hmm. And constantly you find that people are just like men who are diplomats and leaders having a dick measuring contest. Like, call my bluff, I dare you. Like, let's whip them out right now and measure them. Well, listen.
Yeah.
Let's not. Can we don't, please?
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
So, however, things do seem like they're getting a little bit better. And I don't want to say that I say that with fully knowing that things are still awful.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's getting to be a little bit less tense, but who knows how long it'll stay like that. That's from a
very North American perspective that we can't,
Yeah.
We're not there.
Just like strictly looking at the facts and the way that things are shaking down in Russia right now, it looks like things are changing. He's losing a little bit of ground.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully.
All right.
Yes.
Well,
yeah, here's something nicer to talk about. That was the last heavy one, I promise.
Well, not. I have a heavy one after this. Have you heard of this wheel or door debate have you?
I don't listen. Yes, I have. I've heard about it.
And?
I don't fucking care. The reason I don't care is because my sister lived with me for 10 days when my parents went on holidays. And every waking moment, that little terror would say to me, wheel or door. oh, I have something new to consider. I have new data, new evidence to bring to the table.
But as a person who enjoys all the facts, I think you can appreciate that there's no way it's a fucking door. There's no way it's doors.
It's wheels.
It's wheels, obviously. I have my rationale. As a nurse who works in a hospital, everything in the hospital is on wheels.
Yeah.
Everything. Mm-hmm. Our chairs are on wheels, at least 6 wheels. IV pumps have 6 beds. For every door in the hospital, there's at least 6 wheels. For every one door, at least 6 wheels.
Right.
If you get a vehicle, think of all of the wheels that are made by Hot Wheels, Legos.
Dude.
Tons of wheels.
Every single drawer isn't a door because it's not on hinges, it's a wheels.
Wheels.
So if you're looking in your kitchen, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many doors in my kitchen. No.
Wrong.
Every drawer has at least 4 wheels. At least.
Every vehicle has at least 4 wheels, but the max doors that they can have, or not, is 4.
Right.
That's the max.
And also
you get a semi-truck with 18 wheels, they still only have 2 doors.
That's right, baby. Also, there's been an argument that has made that anything that rotates around an axis counts as a wheel. And in that case, every single gear in your engine...
Our heads wheels?
What are you talking about?
Our neck is the
It's
axis.
not a full 360 rotation.
Okay, it's not a full 360.
Yeah. But gears do count as wheels, from what I saw on TikTok from Hank.
Well, I'm glad that we are on the same page. I'm glad that
we're on the same part of this because
if you were a door...
If I was a door person, listen, that food episode almost tore us apart. If I was a door person,
it would be over.
Done. No, we are on the same part of the... We are on the same page, my friend and I.
Okay. Do you have any more?
I do. It's like so light. It's so fun. It's so fluffy. I recently learned how to properly make salted caramel, and my life is forever changed.
I remember you struggling with this because
I was stirring it. Yes. Like, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to make caramel at home, don't stir it. You'll wreck it. I just figured out how to make it without stirring it, without
it's so
touching
hard
it.
To watch the pot.
To watch the pot and not touch it. I just want to touch it. I just want to touch it. But don't stir it. Don't stir your caramel. Just swirl it. That's what I was told. Swirl it in the pan. Swirl it in the pan. It's gonna look like it's burning. It's not. Smell it. Also, don't fucking touch it. You will hurt yourself bad. I accidentally made that mistake last time. Not this time. I learned my lesson. I did touch the piping hot sugar, and guess what? I got a 3rd-degree burn. Because, yes, of course I did. So don't touch the sugar. Don't stir the sugar. Leave the sugar alone. The sugar wants to make itself into something nice for you. You have to not fuck with it. Okay? This is what I've learned. I'm not going to lie to you, okay? This is the hot take. I made the salted caramel. It was delicious.
Yeah.
I burnt it the tiniest bit. I fucking liked it.
Oh.
It was like I don't even think burnt is the right word. I literally just overcooked it just the tiniest bit, and it just like deepened the caramel flavor and made it just like the tiniest bit more bitter. Like it was more bitter than it was sweet.
Yeah.
And I was into it. And my husband had some on his ice cream, and he was like, you burnt it. And I was like, you're a fucking snowflake. In this salted caramel discourse in our house, you're a snowflake. Because it's delicious. And I put it in my coffee, and I put it on my ice cream, and
That's
literally
awesome.
Anything that I could put caramel on, guess what? That caramel's going on there. I warmed it up the other day and dipped a cookie into it. And I was like, I feel like we've hit a new low. It's so good, though. It's delicious.
As long as it wasn't a Superstore cookie, I'm fine with it.
It wasn't a Superstore cookie.
Allow
I've
it.
stopped buying them since we had that talk, so I just feel shame now. I
so
did
sorry.
eat them again since then, and I was like, you're right, it does taste like sawdust. So I'm very upset. I'm very upset. That's fine. Okay, what's your next one?
My last one. So this is about, I don't know if you've heard about it. This is an ex-nurse. Her name is Redonda Vaught. She has, Vaught, not Vaught. She has been charged with a murder of a patient for a med error. I want to get into this whole thing. I've got 2 pages of stuff here and timelines and stuff. So let's just, Redonda Vaught. Redonda Vaught began working at one of the biggest hospitals in Nashville in 2015. In 2017, Charlene Murphy was admitted due to a brain bleed. In December of 2017, she was getting better. She was getting ready to be released. She had to have a scan, and she needed to be sedated. Versed was ordered, but Vaught gave vecuronium, which is a strong paralytic agent. When she emerged from the scan, she was completely unresponsive. She needed to be resuscitated, ended up being taken off life support that night, and her death was originally attributed to her brain bleed. 2 neurologists deemed that the death was natural, and a medical examiner did not investigate the death because of this. This is what the information that was told to the medical examiner. Mm-hmm. Reportedly, the 75-year-old Caucasian female presented to the Vanderbilt ER with a complaint of headache and nausea. The CT image revealed intracerebral hemorrhage. She arrested, so cardiac arrest, yes, before going into the CT room. They did obtain ROSC, return of spontaneous circulation, and she was sent to the ICU, where her prognosis became poor. Her family opted to have her care withdrawn, and she declined until her pronounced death later that night.
Okay.
So Dr. Hartman, who is also reporting this death to the Office of the Medical Examiner, states that there is no trauma noted to the descendant, no recent reported falls or traumatic events, and no foul play expected. Dr. Zimmerman will attest to the death as natural causes of complications of the intracerebral hemorrhage. I have declined medical examiner jurisdiction in this matter. Funeral arrangements, blah.
Right.
So the cause of death was listed as acute zirconium intoxication. What's really frustrating with this is it's putting a very bad precedence on, if you're a nurse and you make a med error, many nurses are not going to want to come forward anymore because a risk of repercussions, severe repercussions.
Right.
So in 2018, one article states, in the wake of Murphy's death, Vanderbilt officials have taken several actions to obscure fatal medication errors from the government and the public. The error was not reported to the state or federal officials, which is required by law, and the Joint Commission. Vaught was fired from the Vanderbilt University of Medical Center, and sometime in early 2018, Vanderbilt, which is the hospital, was negotiated an out-of-court settlement with the Murphys family that required them not to speak publicly about the death or the medication error, and the settlement amount is unknown. October of 2018, an anonymous tipster alerted the state and federal health officials to the unreported medication error that was responsible for Murphy's death. 20 days later, the Tennessee Department of Health decides not to pursue disciplinary action against Vaught. In a letter to Vanderbilt, the agency's investigations director says, Vaught's case did not constitute a violation of the statutes or rules governing the profession. On the same day, Vaught was sent a letter saying the matter did not merit further action. Okay? This is 2018. Okay. So she's been fired. She's currently working as a nurse in a different place, in kind of a more, not secretary, but like administration role.
Right.
In response to the anonymous tip, the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services conduct a surprise inspection at Vanderbilt. The inspection confirms that Murphy died from an accidental dose of vecuronium, and that Vanderbilt did not report the medication error to the government, or the medical examiner, according to an inspection report. Late in 2018, the medication error becomes public for the first time. February 2019, Redonda Vaught is publicly identified for the first time, where she is arrested on a criminal indictment for her alleged role in Murphy's death. She is charged with reckless homicide and impaired adult abuse. February 2019, I think we're still there, a day later, Vanderbilt executives speak about the fatal error during a meeting of the Tennessee Board of Licensing Healthcare Facilities, which is responsible for disciplining hospitals. Vanderbilt Health System CEO Wright Pinson admits the death wasn't reported to the state regulators and said that the hospital's response was too limited. Vanderbilt officials also confirmed for the first time that they negotiated a settlement with the Murphys family. The board takes no disciplinary action against Vanderbilt. February 20th, so, 15 days later, Vaught makes her first appearance into court in her criminal case and enters a not guilty plea to all charges. After the hearing, Vaught criminal defense attorney Peter Stryance insists that Vanderbilt shares blame for Murphy's death. I think when this case is tried and the facts come out, it's a mistake, and it's not all of her fault either, he said. There are some real systematic problems with the way they dispense medicine through the automatic dispensing system. Prosecutors say she overrode a safeguard on the cabinet, even though she wasn't treating an emergency and had not checked with the hospital pharmacy. Then ignored 4 warnings, a pop-up about the medication she was withdrawing from the cabinet. And on top of the medication actually says, like, warning, this is a sedative. Like, this is a paralytic agent. Once the medication was in hand, Vaught then somehow didn't notice the drug was supposed to be a liquid, but instead of a powder, and therefore had to be mixed with fluid and shaken before given to the patient. Finally, Vaught still injected the drug despite bold lettering on the top of the cap that said, warning, paralyzing agent. Prosecutors said in court records that Vaught would have had to look directly at the warning when sticking a syringe into the bottle before injecting the medication. According to a Tennessee Bureau of Investigation report filed in the case, Vaught allegedly told investigators that it struck her as odd that the medication was a powder instead of a liquid, and although she did not notice any warnings in the medication bottle, she said she should have recognized the difference before injecting the drug. Murphy's family said they would forgive Vaught for the error and that they have not encouraged prosecution in this case. Sorry, I've got a little bit more. I want to give you the
context.
Yeah, I want to give you the context before we talk about it. So on September 27th, 2019, the Tennessee Department of Health reverses its prior decision not to pursue professional discipline against Vaught. Agency officials charge Vaught with 3 infractions before the Tennessee Board of Nursing. The agency refuses to explain why it refused its prior decision. Vaught is charged with unprofessional conduct, abandoning or neglecting a patient that required care, and failing to maintain an accurate patient record. Charging documents say Vaught could face thousands of dollars in fines and suspension of or revocation in her license. So this is December of 2019,
right?
And a Tennessee investigation reveals how actions taken by Vanderbilt officials obscured the circumstances of Murphy's death, delaying and hampering an investigation into the hospital. The story also includes the first public statements from Charlene Murphy's grandson, Alan Murphy, who is not constrained by the confidentiality agreement signed by the other family members. A cover-up, he states. That's what this screams. They didn't want this to be known, so they didn't let it be known. In July 22nd of 2021, Vaught's medical discipline hearing finally begins.
Just like a year and a half later.
Yeah, and this is, so the original death was in 2017. Yeah.
Okay.
So, during testimony, Vaught did not shirk responsibility for Murphy's death, saying it's completely my fault, and she did not double check the medication provided. But Vaught and her attorney also argue that the mistake was made possible because of flawed procedures at Vanderbilt. At the time, they said, Vanderbilt was struggling with a problem that prevented communication between its electronic health records, medical cabinets, and the hospital pharmacy. This was causing delays at accessing medications, and the hospital's short-term workaround was to override the safeguards on the cabinet so they could get drugs quickly. Overriding was something we did as a part of our practice every day, Vaught said. You couldn't get a bag of fluids for a patient without using the override function. Oh, here it is. In July of 2021, the Tennessee Board of Nursing revoked Vaught's license. So now, March 25th, 2022, so like 3 days ago, the trial ended and the jury found Vaught guilty of criminally negligent homicide and abuse of an impaired adult. Knowing what I know now, she said, even if the jury finds me guilty, even if Judge Smith decides that prison time is the appropriate sentencing for this, and it's the maximum amount of time, I have zero regrets about telling the truth. We have not forgotten about Miss Murphy and her family. Not at all. Not at all. This is about creating a safer environment so that things like this don't happen again, she said. Where's the accountability? Where? All this says is that you are a nurse and you are disposable. Medical errors are not unknown in this industry. One witness in this week's trial testified that they happen in hospitals every day. Mm-hmm. The mistakes may not always contribute to the death of a patient, but they're still part of the stakes. Life or death work done by clinicians daily. Vaught and her colleagues worry about the threat of criminal charges for mistakes will undo decades of work to create an open and honest communication. There were lots of missed opportunities, failed to acknowledge until they were at a risk for losing a lot of money. I think it's embarrassing. Not for me, for them. A complaint doesn't wind up in the hands of a criminal investigating body and just end up being swept under the rug, she said. Somebody has to pay the price, and it was easy for them to say, well, let's just let her do it.
Right.
So, when I was originally seeing this story, I was, oh my gosh, you know, she had to override the Pyxis machine. She had to make those overriding calls. But then, if that's part of the date, like if in the facility,
if it's part of your daily routine.
If it's part of your daily routine, even to get fluids for a patient, which is something that we can just do. You know, if a patient's bag runs out of fluids, we throw another one up, you know?
Right.
We should have access to it. So instead of, if you're not able to do that without overriding the machine, of course you're not going to double check. Of course you're not going to, especially when you're thinking that when she typed in Versed, I don't think she finished it all, and she typed in VER and just hit the first one that popped up because it gave her a list of medications, right? Which is what I kind of gathered from there. And she was having a conversation with someone when she shouldn't have been. So she, you know, she takes accountability for it, but also the fact that Vanderbilt is not taking any accountability for this and letting Deronda take all of the blame is disgusting. And as a nurse, we need to be able to say, hey, I made a mistake. Right. And it happens. I have made, and I've only been nursing since August. And
people make mistakes.
You have made a mistake. And I have immediately said, okay, I noticed what my mistake is. This is what I did. I made an RLS about it. And I told my manager, I told the charge nurse. Thankfully, nothing happened. You know, it wasn't super serious or whatever. But to know that you could get fined and be put in jail, of course you're creating the precedence that nurses are not going to want to come forward. Tell the truth.
No, you're also creating this entire work culture where you have to be perfect.
Exactly.
And it's a lot of pressure.
It is.
It's a lot of pressure.
It is, especially because in such high stakes environments like the ICU where they're probably overworked, this is a pandemic. Oh my God. I'm sure they're short staffed. For going into a routine procedure,
requiring people who are understaffed to work as long of hours as nurses and doctors do, and then expect perfection is a setup for failure. Yeah. You're going to get people who are too tired to give 100% of their focus to their job because they are just trying to stay awake.
Of course. Can you imagine if anyone out there who's thinking, oh, well, it's her job, she should be on it 100% of the time. If your job involved that level of life or death, could you be on that ball 100% of the time at your work? Have you ever been like, oh shit, I forgot to get that lady out there at table 5 an extra cup of coffee. What if she died because of your mistake now? Right?
Everybody makes mistakes.
Everybody makes mistakes.
It just sucks that in your line of work, it could mean the difference between somebody being okay and somebody not.
But I think this falls back to responsibility of the institution that you're working for. Well, you need to have managers, doctors, people who are on your side.
Right. This happened in the States, right?
Yeah.
So that's a totally different issue. But aren't y'all unionized? You guys are.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what the states are like.
Is it a state by state union? I know have no idea. In Canada, especially with teachers, it's a province by province union. Yeah. So if I went and taught in a different province, I would have to join their union, and that's what protects me.
I think that's the same thing for nurses as well.
If she's a part of the union in the States, because then it's not, that's the whole purpose of unions, is that if you make a mistake, it's not one person fighting a corporation, it is a group.
Yeah, but overall, looking at the state's healthcare overall, oh my God, does not scream
y'all got some work to do.
They're trying to do anything beneficial for any of the people who are actually working there.
No, it's bad down there. It's bad down there. It's no good.
It's just so frustrating for me to see someone, and nurses are mad. Nurses are mad, as they should be.
It's also so just abhorrent for a major corporation like Vanderbilt to just be like, one nurse can take the fall for this entire fuck up, and we don't have to have any repercussions. Yeah. Let her do it.
Yeah. Exactly.
She's doing it anyways. Somebody who has a conscience and is compassionate and feels for the family who lost somebody is going to take this entire fall. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, there is a room of CEO suits
who
are
had
just
a
like
secret, who had a secret meeting with the family, secretly settled, gave them a NDA,
right,
that they're not allowed to disclose anything,
right,
and then in the end be like, oh well, maybe our response was too limited.
get fucked.
Get fucked.
Could you just do the right thing? Just anything, anytime. Could you just do the right thing?
Seriously. So I do want to put this out for my nurses to just, you're doing a great job. Don't get complacent, because in the end, they're not looking out for us.
Nobody is.
You need to do your checks. As much as that seems stupid, it's important.
Yeah.
It is important. Double check. I don't want to say don't do your triple checks, because you should do your triple checks, but double check before you're giving your medications. And it's easy to just get complacent with it, but we need to stay diligent. We do, because
you need to protect
your
yourself.
license is literally on the line.
Yeah.
Literally.
Like you,
and you might think that it's not going to happen to you, but I guarantee Duranda Vaught also thought that
it was never going to happen to her.
So,
like, that one mistake could ruin your entire career.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a lot. It's a lot of responsibility.
Totally.
It's a lot of responsibility. And it's like, yeah, you got to take care of yourself. Because again, like we always talk about, everything is an undercurrent every single episode. Nobody's looking out for you like you. You got to look out for yourself. Make sure you're doing your job the best that you can. Ask for help when you need it. Don't ever, I know something that you've talked about a lot since you become a nurse is like always feeling self-conscious about asking stupid questions. Ask the stupid questions.
Yeah. Honestly,
stupid questions could save somebody's life. And if somebody looks at you and says that it's a stupid question, fuck them.
Yeah.
You're just trying to do your job.
Yeah.
Just do your job.
And when it comes around to it, and it's been 10 years, remember what that was like at the beginning. Remember what it's like to be a student. And let's treat them decent.
Oh my God.
I do have a whole thing that I want to talk about this on another episode.
Yeah.
But let's just be kind to each other. You know, everything's
not hard
fucked up right now.
Dude, it literally costs you nothing to be kind.
Yeah.
It costs you nothing to be kind.
Yeah.
Just be kind.
And let's not
help each other
think
out.
Someone's stupid for asking a dumb question, because them asking you that question and you giving them a decent response might save someone, might help someone.
Like, literally.
So, on that note, we're going to cut things off because it's probably been too long and it's probably been too charged. But again, thanks for joining us, and we've really appreciated everyone coming back and listening to our blabbing.
Yeah.
You can check out our social media. You can email us, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Everything's linked.
Yep.
Have
See
a
you
good
later.
time.